The movie starts with Cameron waking up in bed with the love of his life, Diane. She wants him to stay in bed, but he has to get to work. They start to kiss, but then Cameron goes downstairs and is immediately confronted by his father, who wants him to take his life more seriously and figure out his next move. Cameron had taken a GAT year out of high school, but now that it is over, he should be thinking about what to do next, possibly go to college.
I don't know what I want to do, so...
Hunter wants his son to have a real future outside of the toys he has upstairs in his rooms, but his mom, Carol, defends him for his decisions. She thinks it's a good idea to give Cameron a break. Hunter agrees to give him a break, but it will only be for 3 weeks, after which he expects his son to have some idea of how he wants his future to go. But Cameron is already late for work, so he gets up to leave, but not without upsetting his mom, who wanted him to have a proper breakfast. Cameron takes off on his bike to go to work, riding off across the neighborhood. He gets to the ice cream shop where he works. As he goes inside, his boss, Lenny, asks him to close up at night, but Cameron has a date with Diane, so he can't do that. Lenny doesn't believe him because he thinks Diane is way out of his league. His colleague, Liz, seems a bit defeated when she learns that Cameron has a date with someone else.
That's because the only date you have is with a sock, wank boy.
Outside, Liz and Cameron are having a chat, and it turns out Lenny is making her close up that night. But what is actually bothering her is Cameron going out with Diane. But even she doesn't believe him because Diane is out of his league. But he just leaves her there without giving her comments any thought. Cameron goes back home on his bike, and as he gets there, he sees Diane looking beautiful and immediately takes out his phone as he looks at her. He is mesmerized by her sexy figure when all of a sudden...
What are you looking at?
Nothing.
Diane comes to stop the bullies, but they tell her Cameron was trying to take pictures of her. He tries to explain that he was only texting her, but his phone is now in his hand. He goes to get it from the street, but... He goes to pick it up anyway, but it's broken beyond any repair. He tells Diane that Chad was the one who threw his phone, and she just sends Jason and Chad home. She asks Cameron again about the pictures, but he tells her he doesn't want a photo of her. That night, Cameron is in his room when he spots something out of his window, a good-looking woman in the house next door. He quickly turns off the light to not get spotted and starts looking at her changing, but he gets caught by his mom and closes the curtains pretty quickly. He gets rid of her and immediately goes back to turning the lights off and looking out the window, but she sees him. At dinner, Cameron doesn't like the food his mom brought him, but he's more concerned about his dad, who doesn't want to buy him another phone. Hunter wanted Cameron to stand up to Chad, who's been bullying him for years now. Carol tries to speak some sense into it, but Hunter is adamant about his stance. But then the doorbell rings and Cameron goes to get it, but he sees that it's the woman from the window.
Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
He opens the door but finds Diane there instead, and she doesn't see anyone else there. She's there for their date and couldn't get a hold of him because his phone is broken. They have some fun as they drive over to the pizza place. They get there and have some food while having a conversation. But then Martin walks in, and Cameron calls him over without realizing that Diane is trying to avoid him. He comes over to say hi, but things are awkward.
Hi, Martin.
Cameron laughs at the awkwardness, but she doesn't find it funny at all. He follows her outside, and after the awkward car ride, he asks her about what made her turn weird all of a sudden, but she doesn't want to talk about it. She follows him out and tells him that Martin stood her up at the senior prom, and that's why she feels this way now. As they talk, Diane and Cameron are about to share a kiss when he sees the woman from the window in the driveway.
I gotta go.
He just runs inside acting very weird. He goes inside to check and finds the woman in the window, but she disappears.
We need to talk.
He tries to confront her, but she has the upper hand. Her name is Victoria. She's house-sitting for the owners, and he apologizes for their mishap and offers her a way out because he doesn't want his parents to hear. She needs a ride and uses this situation to make him drive her. On their way over, he attempts to flirt with her after asking about her boyfriend and finding out he's dead. He asks her age, but she just ignores his question and tells him to pull into a parking lot. The place is closed, and she takes his keys before walking out of the car so he won't leave her there. She meets a man at the door who lets her in, leaving Cameron outside. He gets out to take a look, but sees the man running out.
Help me! Help me! Help me!
Cameron gets in the car and locks the door as Victoria comes walking out and bites the man's neck, killing him. Cameron tries to escape, but she catches him. They continue driving while Cameron freaks out about what he just witnessed, but she laughingly tells him to relax. She's a vampire, and now he can't stop driving her everywhere to not get hurt, and she kisses him. The next morning, as Cameron is being asked by his dad about the blood on the car, Victoria comes along and explains that a deer fell on the car and got the blood on it. She then convinces Hunter to give Cameron the car so he can drive her everywhere. While at work, Cameron is telling Lenny what went on his date with Diane when Liz tells him someone wants to talk to him outside. It's Martin. He wants another chance with Diane.
Her face and her body make me stupid.
Cameron then agrees to ask Diane for him. He then tells Diane all about it, and she finds his comments sweet. Despite wanting her for himself, he agrees. Later that night, they start driving, and he learns it's best if he doesn't know about her reasons for all of this. They get there, and as usual, Cameron is staying in the car.
Oh, shit! Oh, my God!
She gets back in the car, and he rolls down his window as she cleans herself off. He later washes the car, and they get back home. Later that night, he's asleep when he finds Victoria in his bed. She tells him she's about 247 years old, because her man was killed by vampires for fighting back and turned her into a vampire. In the morning, Martin wakes Cameron up because he doesn't know how to impress Diane on their date, and they agree to have Cameron on the date. Later on, Diane and Cameron are talking when he tells her about him having plans later with a girl.
It's gotta be paying her.
Liz and Lenny can't understand how Cameron managed to get someone like Diane. That night, Cameron is now excited about the killings after learning they're all vampires. She has 2 more targets before she moves on. But the last vampire is the one she wants the most. She's powerful and will take some skill to kill. They get to the place and she walks in with him following behind her. She creeps around in the basement, slowly walking through the halls until she reaches the final room. But a security guard is on the scene. He follows her steps and finds her in the basement room. She comes at him and he shoots her down. Cameron tries to save her, but he gets shot and stays down. But Victoria isn't dead. She bites the man's neck, killing him. She sees Cameron on the ground and rushes over to him thinking he's been shot.
I was playing dead.
She's mad at him for coming after her because he might have gotten hurt. They get back home and they decide not to go on their adventure the next night. He wants her to get him out of the 3-person date with Diane and Martin, and she eventually agrees. The next day at work, Liz finally gets the courage to ask out Cameron on a date, and he actually says yes. But because he has lots of stuff going on, he can't make the concert. That night, Cameron is on the date with Martin and Diane. Martin seems excited but is too awkward to have a good conversation with her by himself. Cameron tries to get them to talk, but they can't seem to get along.
So I'm gonna go, let you 2 eat.
No!
As Diane goes to the bathroom, Victoria comes by to get Cameron. She thinks it's a bad idea to have Martin and Diane date while he is the one who's in love with her. They drive over to his job and he doesn't want to get out of the car because Chad and Jason are out there. Victoria goes out and confronts them both. She antagonizes them enough that Chad starts to hit Cameron, and now he has no choice but to fight back. Cameron clearly can't fight, so she gives him a tip to hit Chad in the ribs. He finally lands a punch and now gets the momentum to keep going despite hurting his hand. After the fight, they're all good, and Chad tries asking who she is, but she plays with them.
Whoever Cameron wants me to be.
Cameron is actually hurt, and she gives him something to make him feel better. After drinking it, he quickly feels better, and it turns out that he just drank her blood.
Am I gonna be a vampire now?
No!
They get back home, and now he's all healed up and feels really good now, and now he wants to do a whole lot of things because he's very hyper. He gets in bed and imagines being with Diane, but then Victoria appears next to him. She's grateful for having him with her because he is a trustworthy person. They start making out passionately, but
Cam, did you know in 1926?
he quickly walks out and Victoria wants to keep going, but he stops her. He tries to explain, but she disappears and goes to her house. The next morning, Cameron and his dad share a smile because of what he saw the other night. Outside, Martin is upset because Cameron left him on his date with Diane. He tries to get him to help again, but Cameron just drives off. Diane runs into Victoria at her job, but she's there for another reason other than just shopping. Meanwhile, Liz is listening to his problems and gets him to agree to go out with her that night to the concert. He later meets his dad, who gives him advice after hearing about all the girls Cameron is involved with by saying if he starts to explore too many options at the same time, he might end up with none. He steps out but decides to check on Victoria before he leaves. He peeks through the window, but to his surprise finds Diane sitting on Victoria's couch. They seem to be having a romantic time together. Victoria takes Diane over to her bedroom and Cameron goes to see, leaving Liz to wait for him. He gets to his bedroom and watches on as Victoria and Diane check out a dress together, but then they start to kiss, breaking his heart as he watches on. Meanwhile, Liz is still waiting for Cameron, who never shows up. The next morning, he sees Diane walk out of Victoria's place and drive off.
Did you enjoy the show?
Victoria thinks she's helping him get over someone he will never get along with. He is extremely mad at her and says he doesn't want to help her anymore.
You will do exactly what I ask of you.
Later on, Cameron finds Martin in the woods and convinces him to go after Diane again with his help, and they set up another date. Cameron then goes to his work and quits. But outside, he finds Liz, who's pissed that he forgot about their date, and she punches him out. He then goes over to see Diane because he wants a new outfit for a date and also convinces her to go on the date with Martin. Later on, his mom got him a new phone behind his dad's back. After that, he and Martin plan on how to get the conversation going with Diane using an earpiece. Martin is ready for this date because
I'm a lean, mean, boning machine.
at the date, Cameron feeds all the slick lines to Martin, and it's working so well that Martin starts taking her to a quiet place to have some fun. Cameron tries to get in the way, but she has known that he was here the whole time.
I've got it from here, Cameron.
But then Cameron sees something shocking. Diane is a vampire and bites Martin. He goes back to find Liz, but outside, Diane is there and wants to talk. She actually turned Martin into a vampire, and he's not dead. She didn't want to tell him because she was scared of his reaction and losing him.
Because I love you.
Back in his room, Victoria is there to talk to him. She knew the whole time about Diane, and she is the last vampire she needs to kill. She's gotten his parents to go on a date and has set a trap for Diane using him as bait.
She'll know that you're about to die.
Diane is there but runs into Lenny, who's figured out that she's a vampire, so she changes him into a vampire to keep her secret safe. Diane and Martin go into the house. Victoria is only here to kill Diane and doesn't want to hurt Cameron. The two get into a violent fight, but that's when Victoria learns the truth that Diane isn't the one responsible for her lover's death. The real killer was Diane's master all along.
So what now?
The movie ends with Cameron finally deciding on what to do with his life. He's going to write a book about vampires. He also makes things right with Liz after explaining everything to her, the truth this time. She gives him another chance despite not believing his story.